Welcome once again, friends, to our next video in this series of building an unused-like application with Ionic 4, Angular, and Firebase. Remember our last video, we looked at how we can register a user to Firebase Cloud. So in this video, we'll see how we can log in the user that we registered to log into our application. So let's go ahead. Remember our last video we looked at how we can register a user, and when you insert like admin, maybe say user 1, user password, and here user password. When we register, we get a confirmation that a user has been successfully registered. So in this section of the video, we'll see how we can log in our user into our application. So let's dive into the code and then create a login for our user. So in this section of the video, we are going to be focusing on how we can log our user into Firebase and our application. This is the user login page, HTML page, and we have a login.page.ts file. This is where we are going to have a functionality of our page, our login page. So here is the HTML for our login page. In this section, we are going to see how we can handle our user login elements, and then okay, let's prepare our elements for our user login, and in doing so we are going to do some data binding on our HTML page. So we'll start by binding the user to their individual variables that we are going to define in login.ts file. So let's look at what is a data binding. First of all, data binding in Angular is the synchronization of the model and the view. Going to be looking at ng model. An ng model stands for a two-way data binding to an HTML form elements. Let's look at what is a two-way data binding. Two-way data binding means that the framework, which is in our case we are using Angular, is not only watching your variables for changes, but it also keeps track of the changes that are made by the user. That being said, an example is the input elements, which also our input elements that we have here, which keeps updating the variables accordingly. So the variables that we are talking about in this case, they are the ones we are going to define in the login.page.ts file. So when a user makes a change in the input field, an ng model updates the variables with the values that are being passed through the ng model. So it keeps updating the variables whenever. That's why it's called a two-way data binding. Good. That having said, we'll go ahead and define that. It will be that ng model which is equal to username also here ng model, password. So here in this case, the password that we are passing here and the username we are passing here, these are the variables that are being attached to this data binding. So whenever there is a change from the user input, these variables will be updated accordingly. Okay, so that having said, we save, and then we go to our button. We also do an event binding. So we'll have brackets click, we'll add an click event. So this just simply means event binding means that data flows from the DOM, which is DOM, which stands for document object model of the component. When a DOM event such as click is triggered, the bound method from the component is called. So our bound method will be, for example, say login, which will be user login page, user login function. So in our case, the user login, this should be this. Yeah. So the user login function is the method which is being supplied to this click event. So whenever this click event is triggered, the bound method, which is the user login method from the component, this component is called. So this is an event binding, and for here we had data binding. So there are two different data binding in Angular, so ng model and also event binding. So all these are data binding methods that are being used. So here we bind the user to the variables, and here we bind the event, which is the click event, to the method of the component. When the user clicks on the component, this method will be triggered. Okay. Copy this function, then we go into our login.page.ts file and then create that function. So we see we'll first define our elements, our variables, which are username and password. So we'll say username of type string, so after defining that, come and create our object. It will be this, it will be const bracket, then we pass in username, then password, then import this. So here this function is going to be an async function. Remember, in our previous video we said that async function is if an async function is applied to async is applied to any function, it means that function will return a promise. Yeah, so our function will have to return a promise, so that's why we apply an async to it. So let's go ahead and then to say try catch. Try catch error. So if there is an error, I'll say console.dir, then error. Okay, error. Good. So after defining that, we'll first go here and say, so if the user has been if the input fields for the user are valid, then we go ahead and say first of all we have to import our Firebase auth. So say Firebase auth, actually it's Angular Fire. Let me go here. So we come after defining that, say private auth type Angular Fire auth. So we say is dot define a variable user of type any, say dot user to await this dot auth dot sign in with email and password. So here we pass in username and password. Okay. But remember, in our previous video we looked at how we can append an email format onto our username so that we can be able to sign in into our Firebase. Firebase accepts an email and password, not just a single username. So in this case, we'll just append an email format. Let's say add at code. You can put anything you want of your like. So after that we save, and then remember this will have to return a promise. So say okay. So if this one is successful, we'll have an alert message. Remember, in our last video we created an alert controller that we have to insert into our so here also we'll start with an alert controller, but we have to import first private alert of type alert controller. So this will create a function which will be alert all func. This alert all will have a header of type string and a message body of type string. So this function will be an async function, because to have to wait for the promise for it to be executed. So say try catch dot all user wait dot alert dot create. So we'll have a header then message, type message, then we have buttons, type Okay, after creating our alert after creating our alert controller, we'll go ahead and then supply our alert message. It will be this dot alert func, and then alert func will take in so we run our application, which is Ionic Cordova run. Login will be admin and password of 1 2 3 4 5 6 admin. Okay, now since we have created our login page and we have registered the user and logged in the user, going to create a tabs page which is going to have the feeds, or you can call it the stories or articles, and we're going to have another tab which is going to hold the profile for each individual user that logs into the application. And also we are going to have tab which is going to contain the posting of each article for every individual person, so everyone that logs into the app can be able to post an article into the news or the articles page. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our tabs page. So you say Ionic G page of pages, pages folder, then we will create tabs page. So it's going to generate for us a tabs page, which we are going in turn going to put in our login page. So if our user sign in is successful and it has returned the response, so we'll log this message, successfully logged in, user has been successfully logged in, and then we create our we navigate the user to tabs page. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've already imported a router module which helps us to navigate the user to the respective pages. So we say this router navigate, then navigate the user to tabs page. Save. And this example, I'm first going to use a browser for our debugging. Then later on we can use the application to see how it looks on the emulator. But for now, let me run on a browser. So in a browser, I will just run Ionic serve, then so it is requiring us to install Ionic Lab. We say yes, and then it will install the browser devices for iOS and Android. So we say that we can have a real experience of the how the application will look on a mobile device but using a browser. So we have an interface of iOS and we have an interface of Android. So you see how the application looks on iOS and how it looks on Android. So we'll now log in. User, say user 3, password of 1236, user, login, successful logged in, and then you see we have our tabs page. So we are going to include tabs on this tab page. So we go into the code and implement that. So we can go and create a routing for our okay, before that let's go to tab, then tab.html. so instead of having this title, since we are going to have different tabs page, we'll say ion tabs. So inside here we'll have ion tab button, then sorry, it's supposed to have ion tab bar. So ion tab bar will have slots of bottom. We want to position them into the bottom of the application. So here we include the different tabs: ion tab, button, this will have tab, our button have tab of, let's say feed, our feed, or we can call it articles that are posted. Then Here we'll see article. Here we have, let's go to home. Here is, we have the profile, and then icon, name. And see contact. So contact, then copy this, paste that, call it upload or post. Here you can call, you can use calendar, like this, yeah? Let's go and look for icons. Yeah, can use calendar, save, and then let's check. Good. So have articles page, you have need to correct that icon. Maybe say iOS calendar. Oh, supposed to be a calendar. Yeah. So we have post articles, profile, and then articles. So here we'll have a user profile page, and this will have the list of different articles, and then here we'll have the place where someone can post an article, and another user can click and then comment on that article, and so on. So let's go and implement the functionality on this navigation. So after creating our desired tab buttons, let's go to the routing. I think I will delete this. So first of all, we'll have to import our router, it will be at ng Angela. Router module. Oh, let's put that. So we create a constant route of type equal to, then it's ng model imports. Then we are going to import router module dot for child, then pass in the routes, our routes here. This has to be then export. Put router module. So we are going to export router module. Good. Then we export class tab page tabs route module. Good. So inside here we'll have an object of path to be blank, then component of type tabs page. So our component will be this tabs page component. So comma and children, we have children of one, we have path of feed and load children. So here we navigate the path. So remember, in our previous Ionic, Angela has improved how we do the navigation on Ionic. So instead of using this path as you see it here, we'll just import the page okay, before even we do that, let's first create our pages. Can go here, create a new tab, then say Ionic G page or pages folder, then we create our feed page, and also we create our profile page, we have a profile already created. We then have merge conflicts and paths. Okay. Okay, so that one pay profile finished. So let's create a posts page. So this will be our post. That's so this feed. Good, our feed has been created. So navigate to feed. Feed dot this will be equal to this. What's not happening? Okay, let's do source up pages, then feed feed.module. Okay, then here we go, res.feed.module. Okay, so we go ahead and then define another path profile, loading, import the path to be source up pages, and then profile.module, then it's dot then. So we can just copy this and then paste. So this is posts, and posts, this one also posts. So we have finished navigating our user, creating the routes page. So we go and then save. Okay, let's run again and see what we get. Tabs page, have an error. Tabs routing .module has no exported member. Okay, so we need to export this into our tabs page. So we go to tabs module, and then we define this as tabs routing module. Then also this one will be tabs routing.module. Good, save, and then let's check. Here we good. So we have successfully created our different pages. So, but the reason why we have this, we haven't initiated our default page. That's why you see we are having this blank page. So we go and initiate our default page. So firstly we'll go to tabs.html, then we create the tabs there, and then go into our tabs.html.pts, and under, okay, before that we'll first say initiate the viewport. So the view child will be the tabs we are trying to initiate the default view page, or so it says static will be true, and then create tabs, page of type Ionic, ion tabs, and under here say this dot tabs page dot select. Then we give our page as feeds. So whenever the application is launched and the user has signed in successfully, it will by default be redirected to feed. So feed will be our home page. So it will be the first page that a user lands on when you have successfully logged in. So let's go ahead and say, so you see we have this feeds page already selected for us. So when you go to we are not able to navigate to other pages. Let me see that. Okay, we'll fix that in our next video. Thank you for watching. In this video we have looked at how we can create a login page and then log in our user to Firebase, and also created our first interface, which is tabs page, and this tabs page contains different pages, which is articles, profile, and post articles. So in our next video we'll see how we can create articles and also create a profile for our user. So thank you for watching. If this video has been helpful to you, make sure you subscribe, and if you have any queries on this video, make sure you leave me a comment in the comment box below. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.